Milner landfill. We have a lot of different programs going on out there. One in particular is collecting food waste, compostable paper products, wood chips from the beetle kill. We take that, we mix it with all the scraps. We put it on a static air method of composting. We have a certified, permitted site with a liner underneath it. It collects all the liquids, so none of the liquids leave the site. They're all collected and sprayed back onto the compost in the form of leachate tea. We really are working hard to close the loop locally. Closing the loop locally means to not purchase soils that are being trucked in from outside our county or within 500 miles, let's say. Making sure that you're not bringing in products that are non-native to our area, like red cedar mulch that would come from, say, Oklahoma or southeastern Oklahoma. So closing the loop is participating in bringing your food waste, your paper products that are compostable, your garden trimmings, your limbs, anything that's organic. And then what we do is we grind it all up and we put perforated pipe through these big piles and we run air through them. Sometimes we suck air, sometimes we blow air. And we have to test those piles on a daily basis, and we have to manage the temperatures. Once the temperatures are met, then we can take it off the pad, and then we have to run it through a screen, and then that screen product comes out, and it looks like this product here. And I've brought some bags if anyone wants to take any. Otherwise Andy is going to take it all. Anyway, we really feel like we have a nice product. There's a big project going on right now at Casey's Pond. That's probably the biggest landscape project going on right now in town. And what they did is they took their soils and they ran a bunch of analysis on the soils. They determined that our compost is actually an excellent amendment for what they're doing over there at Casey's Pond. So when you start to see all the trees going in over there, you're going to see the compost going in mixed with the soils. I think that the biochar would be an excellent addition to it because what I'm seeing is that it just gives it an extra boost along with what we currently are doing with our local compost. So our pad is, our composting facility covers about 20 acres. Just to give you an idea of how big it is. It's not, 3 little bins. It's a pretty extensive operation, highly regulated. I got to say, dealing with CDPHE is not the easiest thing, but we make it work. And we really work hard at trying to protect the environment and improve the environment. This bucket here usually has a really nice sticker on it that says Twin Enviro, food waste only. What we do here is we take these buckets and we deliver them to participating residents in the city limits. And what they do is they put all their food waste in here. And then once a week we come through, or every other week we come through and we collect these buckets with the food waste and we leave them a clean one. This particular bucket...
Is this any kind of food waste?
Any kind of food waste.
Bones, meat?
Bones, meat, no problem. This particular bucket, kind of a funny story. This was Andy Kennedy's, and she left this nice note to me on it. But she was on a hike. Her bucket mysteriously disappeared, and it showed up months later on the top of a mountain, and she was hiking and she found it. It's got the bear feet. You can see where the bear was here chewing on it, and he pulled the handle off, and pulled the flips off, but he never got into it. So this is a really nice bear-proof container. I thought it was kind of funny. I wanted to show it. A lot of people will call and they'll say, hey, can we bring our food waste out here? Can we bring our tree limbs out to you? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And they go, okay. And then they show up and they're like, what do you mean it costs money? Well, it costs money to do this. Quite simply, to run the motors to blow the air, to run the loaders, the grinder, the labor. It's very expensive. So at $25 a yard, which is what we charge the general public, we feel like it's a pretty good price right there. I could see adding the biochar to it and increasing our value. I think that makes good sense as well. With regard to paper products, you know, I'm a stickler for not seeing stuff like this. You know, if this comes in the compost pile and it goes through the grinder, it's really a pain. Locally, you know, I see these cups around town more. These are actually a good product. It's a BPI rated product. The lid actually is a BPI rated product, but it's not really exactly what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. These are very similar products. The lids are the same, but this has got a little bit more brown in it. There's no bleach. So this is what we'd like to see the restaurants and the special events and all our hard work. We want people to know to carry the right products. And so bleach napkins, white napkins, they can be composted, but the non-bleached napkins is what we're requesting. So anything brown, you see it like at Rex's, you know, they have the brown to-go boxes. That's an excellent way to go. The black plastic with the white lids, plastic lids, that's a no-no. So anyway, brown is good. That's what I stress. Plastics, lids, no way. That's really about it. Other than, you know, I'd like to see more participation from the community with regards to their food waste, and also closing the loop would mean purchasing the compost, adding some biochar to it, having some really good soils, because we definitely need to add nutrients to our soils and organic matter to our soils. There are several landscapers in town that carry our products locally, so you do not need to go to the landfill to get it. If you want to come out and get it in a pickup truck load or in a trash plant load or in a bucket load, that's fine too. One of the perks of participating in our residential collection program is you can just call and say, hey, is there any way you can return my bucket with compost? And so we'll return the bucket with compost, and then you can spread that out on your garden, and we don't even charge you for that, so it's kind of a perk.
How much is part of the program?
It's $8 a pickup, and you can go weekly or bi-weekly or once a month.
David, what kind of analysis do you do with compost to make sure it's not being, you know?
Well, we do analysis on it regularly. I think we have an analysis currently posted on the website, the sustainability website, but I have a new analysis that I was hoping was going to be here today, but it's not. So I should have something posted within the next week or two.
What do you look for? I mean, looking for toxins or pollutants? Or?
We are looking for toxins and pollutants, but we never see it. We never see any on it. We're very low in metals, and we are looking for. We're looking to not have any bacteria in there, and the high heat has generally been killing it. The other thing is that we're a small site. So like a lot of times you'll hear stories about pharmaceuticals showing up in the compost. Well, the wastewater treatment plant here at Steamboat has never had any hits of pharmaceuticals. It's just the way it is. We're a small rural community. In the big cities, where you see a lot of that kind of stuff dumped down the drain, you'll see it more likely in their compost or in their biosolids than we would see. So I don't know if that answers your question. Or the heavy metals, exactly. And we're doing some projects out there right now with our leachate, where we're treating the leachate with native wetlands grasses that actually pull the metals out of the water. It's kind of an interesting process. I am not a scientist, so I'm sure that Jonah, I should have known that, because I was like thinking earlier, I was like, Jonah Levine, David Epstein, I hope we have 8 people here so we can have a meeting. Anyway, so regardless, I appreciate your time. That was a little Jewish joke for everyone. Any other questions? Candace?
How successful are you in getting the restaurants involved in food waste?
Sales. Going around and just kind of hitting up restaurants and getting them to bite into collecting food waste at their kitchens and then having us pick it up. So like recently, Creekside, Rio, of course, all the restaurants up on the ski area, the hotels, Sheridan, Grand, they all participate. And we're looking to kind of go into downtown and start expanding on that, but it's really a labor-intensive thing. The biggest challenge that we have is, one, cold weather, collecting the food waste in the wintertime when it's frozen, and then in the summertime when it's warm, the odors that are generated from these buckets or the wheel carts behind a restaurant in an alley or in the garage at one Steamboat place, we have to replace those regularly. We have to clean them, the buckets and the wheel carts, and it's very labor intensive to keep up on that. So, what's your name again?
My name's Sonia. So building on Candace's question, I mean, you know, one of the things you run into all the time with recycling is the whole economies of scale and how it's, you know, everybody has to get in or it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So just looking at the cup thing that you're talking about, I mean, whenever we approach the restaurant folks, they seem so willing to do what they can. I guess I'm wondering, like, you know, I'm thinking, like, if they became a coalition and bought all this stuff together, would there be a cost savings that would make it
Quite possibly.
for
Absolutely.
everybody to adopt the same thing? And then all of a
Absolutely. I
sudden,
mean, if you were to get with Noble Cisco and potentially put together a big order, or with Steve Green Company, who's kind of the local carrier right now, it's
Yeah.
possible.
What do you do to ensure that people who drop off their compostables don't have persistent herbicides in them?
You know, once again, that's just a laboratory analysis that we are looking for. Nothing has ever shown up in our labs of that nature. But what we're finding is the static air method of high heat is killing any of the bad stuff that is showing up in compost in the big city on the Front Range.
Are there,
David, hi. So I have two jobs. I work at the mountain as well.
Yep.
So what do you charge? What is the fee for the mountain in the recycling process? Because I am all on board with this, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And you know where the other side of my thing is. What is the fee for their compostable material?
So like we have, like for instance, this year is $8 a pickup, and that's with a fresh bucket replaced.
Okay.
You get into like a bigger wheel cart.
Yep.
We do 65-gallon tote wheel carts because we don't want to overload them with food waste. Very heavy. They're paying $12 per wheel cart, and that is also with a clean wheel cart return. Or on a larger scale, say with the landscapers, 30-yard roll-off, $30 a ton on the organic material coming out to the site. Typically, our rate is about ready to be raised to $71 a ton on just general trash. So your savings potentially is over half if you are able to sort it from trash to organics.
And the rate is going up why?
The rate for trash is going up, not the rate for organics.
Right, but why?
But, just for increased costs of doing business, specifically regulatory costs.
And it's going up how much percent? Did you say?
It's going up from currently at $68 a ton to $71 as of July 1st.
Hey Dave,
Yeah.
didn't Emily ask you to bring up e-waste?
Absolutely, thank you, that's on my back. So as of July 1st, this is a little bit off subject, but as of July 1st, no more electronics are going to be allowed in the landfill. That includes TVs, microwaves, computers, monitors, towers, anything that's affiliated with computers, cell phones. We haven't been accepting electronics in our landfill for years now, but it's going to be official July 1st. So it's just a note for people to be aware that you need to properly dispose of your electronic waste.
There's a different price list for different.
Different price. We'll still take it.
Sarah probably will.
Yeah. So computers, generally complete setups, about $25 to recycle it. TVs are generally $5 an inch diagonally. Pretty expensive. So if you think about a 10-inch TV, $50. Most people are not interested in spending that kind of money. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we can handle the influx of TVs that you're going to see. Paul?
I actually have a question about the biochar. Where can you get it and how much is it? Well, I guess I know how much it is, but where can we get it?
I'll give you a bag just to have today. Take my card, send me an email, and most of what I do is wholesaling. So I'm selling lots and lots of char to companies that are turning it into other things. Whole Foods is carrying a line of soils right now called Maxfield Organic. We're in Maxfield Organic. A lot of people do a hydroponic grow situation for tomatoes and other products. There's a product called Batch 64 in the state. Batch 64 has 5% my product in it. Batch 64 is at Way to Grow and Hydro, Colorado Hydro, whatever. But Maxfield's Organics is at in the Front Range. It's in McGuckin's, the Tree Farm, Whole Foods, maybe in Whole Foods up here. But I also send lots of bags by mail. And actually, if there were a group of folks, I sell a pallet which is 54 bags. Each bag is $9.26. I come to Steamboat from time to time. I throw a pallet in my truck and come up here, and y'all could.
Jim, is this a bag here?
That's a bag, a 1 cubic foot bag.
So that's $9?
$9.26.
$9.26.
And
how many bags are on a pallet?
54.
54.
And I do bulk bags too. And actually, Dave, I'd love to do a deal where if you have people that have stinky bins, figure out if they're not volumetrically full but needing pickups for stinkiness. If you had a unit of char and they put that char on the top and it knocked down the smell and you could delay pickup for a week, that might offset the cost of the char.
Love it. I love it.
So, but anyhow, char keeps getting it's in more and more places. I'm going to give you a card with a cell number and an email, and just get a hold of me. Char will magically appear.
What we were doing is we were taking, like with the ski area, they were shredding paper. So they'd fill up the wheel cart with the food waste,
Yeah, paper
and then they
on
were
top.
just throwing paper on top.
Yeah.
And that was working out great.
Yeah.
Except in the wintertime or on a windy day. But I could see, I mean, because odors, of course, is your biggest issue
Yeah, and
in a plastic bucket sitting out in the alley.
Then you get char in your compost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you get the char.
And it might even, but anyhow, that's a conversation for a better.
But you're saying you could do pallets, and then, so we could have bags like this available, so when people buy the compost,
Sure,
then
yeah.
they could just throw a bag in with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And I mean, $9.26 is the cost at my place, but, I have to move it here. But,
Yeah, cool.
If you have a handful of these, you might want to put them on the table for...
Yeah, they are, there's lots of cards here.
Okay.
So anyway, thanks a lot, and I appreciate your support.
Wait, I have
I know
another
that you
question.
support me.
Wait. Hey,
Yeah,
I
Chris.
still ask you questions, guys.
Okay. So Chris has been grinding up pallets at the mine, and then the ground up wood chips are coming to the compost pile, and so we've been using their chips for composting. And same with Mike Miller's project. I don't know if you guys read about the wood strand bales that they're using for erosion control. Same thing, all the wood chips that are being collected there are coming out to us. So a lot of the beetle kill material leftovers come to us, and then we compost it.
Well, I have a question for Jonas.
Jonah.
I live in Lafayette. They call myself.
Yeah. All right. Hi.
Yeah.
So, two questions, really. What is, and you don't have to give proprietary information away, but I'm wondering, what is the process in making the char?
Yeah, okay, so there's a lot of ways to achieve low oxygen environments and high temperatures, okay? And you can do things in batches, you can do things continuously, you can do things in a very sophisticated way or in an unsophisticated way. Let me give a quick example. Unsophisticated, big bonfire, big fire hose, okay? Lots and lots and lots of heat, water, no oxygen, charcoal left over. That's char, okay? The way I do it is 3 different ways, okay? I put biomass into a giant vertical can. I start a fire on the top of that can. I suck a lot of air through it. As the air moves to the top, which is on fire, the oxygen is consumed in combustion, and there becomes a deep column of charcoal. At the bottom, there's an exit pipe, and then there's vacuum, and then the char comes out, and it drops out through a thing, and then there's special combustion stuff that cleans up the air. That's, you know, but I can also go into other industrial processes where they have high temperatures and controlled airflows, and I can,
Does that use more electrical waste?
oh, the process I just described takes 10 kilowatt electric. I'm processing 1 megawatt thermal per hour. So it's a very small percentage. We can't do industrial things without using electricity, unfortunately, but we can make the reactions exothermic, meaning more energy comes from the reaction that is put into the reaction, you know. But anyhow, we could have an offline conversation about technology. I don't care about proprietary stuff. We're in the 10th year of an industry that's going to go on for the next 500 if we intend to have a functional society, okay? We're going to learn every single week, and it might be you who gives me my next best idea. So I'll tell you anything I'm doing.
Well, and then the second part of the question is actually for both of you. And what do you hope to gain from meetings like this, honestly?
Well, I'm way more locally.
Well, I know where you are, but for you, Joan.
I think a lot of people haven't heard the word biochar, and it's important to raise awareness. I also want to do transactions. I want to sell char, obviously, and I'll sell char out of this meeting, I'm certain of it. And anytime I could have an engaged, informed community, it's worth my while to have that conversation. And I love Steamboat. I mean, can't go wrong coming to Steamboat.
I have another question on the rural area that we live in. We live on, 2,000 feet of bank like shale and most of it's clay. How do farmers or ranchers afford your product?
Yeah, the way that probably happens is through niche utilization. Okay, so let me describe ways of niche utilization. One way is David and I figure out how to use char to absorb odors out of the compost. That compost comes out of his facility and it's local and it's high quality. That compost gets used in first around your homes to improve your ornamentals, and then maybe out in pasture to improve